Welcome back from spring break, and we're going to start our e-learning this week. Again, remember you can contact me through my home phone number, or you can Canvas me or contact me through Canvas discussion. We're going to start with going over worksheet 7.5, which we had before we left. We're going to start here with A over C. So we've got A, B, C, D, E, and F. Our first equation is A over C. So number one will be A over C equals D over F. Our second equation is going to be F over E, that's this over this, will be equal to C over B. Our third equation, we have E and F, so we'll have B over C equals E over F. Our next ones, we have B and E, so that would have to be A and D because those correspond to B and E. For number 5, we have A over B. A over B, that'll correspond to D over E. And finally, E over B, which would be equal to F over C. On the rest of these, they're going to look a little bit, some of them are going to look a little bit weird. I will talk about a few of them, and we may not do a couple just because of the length of the question. In the first one, we're going to have 9 over x equals 6 over 2. When we cross multiply, we get 6x equals 18, which means x is equal to 3. On the next question, we have x over 12 equals x plus 1 over 15. Remember, set them up just like a proportion, because that's what they are. 15x equals 12x plus 12. 3x equals 12. X equals 4. Next question, we'll have 8 over 7 equals 16 over 2x. When we cross multiply, we get 16x equals 16 times 7. The 16s are just going to cancel, so we have x equals 7. All of those are very straightforward. For 10, we're going to set up a proportion again using the parts that are the same. 3x equals 30. X equals 10. Number 11 is going to be a little more difficult because we end up getting a quadratic. So what we're going to do first is we multiply the 9 times x, 9x. That's going to be equal to x plus 4 times x minus 2. So we have 9x equals, multiply this out with FOIL, so we have x squared, x times x, minus 2x, plus 4x, minus 8. 9x equals x squared plus 2x minus 8. Take away the 9x, we get x squared minus 7x minus 8 equals 0. When you have a quadratic, you want to set it up so that everything ends up being equal to 0. And then from this point, we have to factor it. We know it's going to be x and x. Two numbers that multiply give me negative 8 when I multiply. So negative 8 and 1 or 1 and negative 8. But I want a negative 7 here, so I'm going to do minus 8 plus 1. When I multiply those, I get negative 8. When I add those, I get negative 7. Set them both up equal to 0. get x equals 8 and x equals -1. You could also have done this using the quadratic formula. If you remember, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Although this next one looks a little bit different, if you turn it and set it up as a proportion again, you're going to get something that looks like this. 4 over 3x equals 2.5x over 7.5. When I cross multiply, I get 30 equals 7.5x squared. When I divide, I get 4 equals x squared. So x is equal to either positive or -2. In this case, it would have to be +2 because you can't have a negative length. That is the first side of this paper. Now, if there's something you don't understand how I did this, contact me on the side and we can talk about it and get you figured out. Let's do the next one. Remember the angle bisector? What we're going to have is 3 over x plus 2 equals x over x plus 4. Like I said, some of these are a little more complex because you end up getting into a quadratic formula and it can be kind of nasty. So as long as you have this set up, you know what you're doing. I'll go ahead and solve this one. We'll get 3x plus 12 equals x squared plus 2x. When I multiply across here, I'm going to get x squared minus x minus 12 equals 0. I want to get everything on one side. When I factor this, I'll have x minus 4, x plus 3 equals 0. And again, what I did was I took away this 3x from here, I took away the 12 here, I get this expression. Two numbers that multiply to give me -12 and add to give me -1. Set them both equal to 0, and I get x equals 4 or x equals -3. Big thing is that you set it up correctly. If you had a little problem with the algebra, that's all right. The setup is what I'm most worried about. Next one, 9 over x, corresponding to 9 is 12, 12 over 16. This one should have been fairly easy, 12x equals 144, x equals 12. Next one, 9 over 6, that's going to correspond to x over x minus 4. 9x minus 36 equals 6x. This will give me -3x equals -36. X equals 12. On the next three, I'll show you how to set them up, but you are going to have to use quadratic formula, and you are probably going to have to factor. Quadratic formula, or you are going to have to factor. So for the next ones, you're going to have 3x over x plus 4 equals x minus 1 over x minus 2. Cross multiply and solve. Again, you're going to either have to factor or use quadratic formula. I will look at your answers for these when you submit it. X plus 3 for the next one, this is number 17, over 2x plus 2. 2x plus 2 over 4x minus 2. Cross multiply, quadratic formula, or factor. And finally, x minus 2 over x would be equal to x plus 4 over 2x plus 3. Cross multiply, quadratic, or factor. For those of you who forgot again, the quadratic formula works like this. If you have a quadratic formula where you have, or a quadratic equation where you have an a, a b, and a c, those are the numbers, you can solve it by doing this. negative the b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. That'll give you the values that would work. So those last three I'll check. After this, you should go ahead and download the review packet for chapter 7. We're going to go over that review packet tomorrow in class. We won't have a test on it, but I want to make sure you have all the corrections for when we get back. So your assignment for today is to finish up that review packet and have it ready for tomorrow's class. Thanks for a first day back, and I wish I could be seeing you, but, well, for now we'll just do this.